Hi everyone, welcome to our next video. And in this lesson we will continue where we left off on selectors, but this time we're going to discuss pseudo class select. Okay, so let's quickly go into our style sheet. As you can see, I cleared everything up, so it's empty right now. So how do we use pseudo selectors? So for us, we're going to type in a selector just to make an example, and then we have our pseudo class, and then we have our property and our value. Now property, what you guys have seen me do is just put the color and then whatever hexadecimal value color I'm looking for. But for me, let's just use a lime kind of green color. Right, so that's kind of how the pseudo selector class works. You put your selector and then your class. Now you might be wondering, how do we use this? Now let me quickly go back to our index and let's type in an A tag. You remember an A tag? I'm just going to put a hash because I don't want it to go anywhere. I'm going to put a target. No, not going to put a target. And what we're going to do here and just say home. Just as like a reference that if you click this button, you will go to the home page. But for us, it's not going to go anywhere because we don't have the hash. It's just kind of a placeholder so that it doesn't go anywhere. So let's open it up quickly in Firefox. And voila, we got on our A tag right there. And as you can see, if we hover our mouse over it, you will see that kind of a hand showing to show that this item is clickable. But if we click on it, it doesn't go anywhere. But now this is the fun part. Now let's go to CSS. Now this was just explanatory, so let's just delete that quickly. No, let's change it. Let's just show it. The selector that we want is the A tag. The pseudo class that we want, guess what it will be? For us, it will be hover. What do we want to do when we hover our mouse over it? We want to give it a background color. I'm just using kind of the colors because it's easier to see. You can have like a background color of gray, dark gray, and we just want to give it some padding as well of 5 pixels. Right, so let's see how this looks like in Firefox. As you can see, nothing is happening right now, but if we take our cursor, oh boy, right, if you hover over it, it kind of highlighted. How cool is that? So what the pseudo does is, a moment there is an action happening on whatever element you doing, your whatever action there is, it will function. It will kind of change whatever properties you added to that element. Right, now let's go to the next one, active. Right, the next one that we're going to do is, if we're going down here and we change this, just copy it down and we change it to active. Now when it's active, we want to make the background color, let's make it green. Change the color to right, so let's save that. The moment, what this means is the moment I click on it, it needs to change to active. Right, so what we have is the moment we hover over it, as you can see, but let's click on it. You can see if we click on it, it changes to the green with our black text right there. How cool is that? Right. So hover, click, color. So what you can also change, there's 4 properties associated with links. Let's quickly look at what those 4 properties are. But the correct term would be states. So we have our link. So let's just do this. So we have the link. On the link, yeah, let's do that. Let's change the color to red so that we can distinguish between them. Visited. Visited means the moment I've clicked it. So let's change to visited. The moment I clicked it, I want the color to be pink. Right. So see, a link, a normal unvisited link. So nobody have clicked it. Visited, a link the user has visited, meaning they've clicked it. Hover means if you hover your mouse over it and active a link the moment it is clicked. So this is the pseudo classes. All right. So let's quickly see how this looks like in our browser. Now, as you can see, I already visited this link, but let's refresh it quickly. Now, I created a new link. So as you can see, this one is already visited, but the moment, as you can see, this one is not visited. Let's quickly go to CSS, then you will see. As you can see, we got our red. Let me just change it to hexadecimal. And let's just change this color maybe to white. Let's just change it to white. All right, let's go back to Firefox. As you can see, the red and the white. If I hover over it, it gives us the green with the gray, and so it means I haven't visited this one. But let's click on it. It's supposed to change to this the moment I clicked on it, meaning visited. So let's click on it. Boom. Voila. As you can see, it changed to the pink because it means it's visited. But I normally don't use it, but it's kind of handy to know that it is there if you need to use it for future references. So we're going to just show you all the pseudo classes that there are. Now these pseudo classes are just for links, which we will discuss in more detail, but I don't think it's necessary because we kind of already seen the links now. So it kind of double work, but let's quickly go to our pseudo classes that we have in CSS. Right, so let's quickly continue. So we already had the active one. The next one we have is checked, like this, checked. But checked you would normally use in, guess what, inputs. So we're going to have, let's say, input checked. So that means all the inputs that are checked, this is the declaration that we want to add to that checked property. The next one that we have is disabled. Did I spell that wrong? Disabled. And then we have a P. Let's go to the next one. We're just going to say P, and if it's empty, okay. So if we have an input of enabled, that, so you can have that as well. Selects every enabled input. Right, which brings us to our next one. Okay, so let me just do this. Then you've got focus as well. I don't want our videos to be too long, but I just kind of want the necessary ones. You've got your input focus. We already got the hover state. Then this is the ones that I kind of want to get with you guys just before we end this video. So this one, let's go to our section. Let's add a paragraph tag, and let's say lorem 20. Say another paragraph tag, lorem 20, another one, say lorem 10. This is just dummy tags that we use. Right, so let's save that quickly. So how do we use this? So let's go to this one. Now, if we do that like this, like section, and then we can add first child. What does that do for us? So the first child, let's quickly just say the first child that we want to do is we want to give it a color of lime green. I like to do this, just type in any value in there, and then I can just select whatever color I want. So let's just do that, because I don't think I remember all the hexadecimal colors of everything. So let me just, then I do that. Let me just make sure I delete the link as well, because I don't want to see that. I just want to kind of show you guys this. So let's quickly go to Firefox. I forgot. Instead of section, I forgot to change it to the paragraph. So let's quickly go to Firefox. Now, as you can see, the first child of the paragraph of the parent section is kind of how I wanted to explain it to you guys. So the first part of the parent of the section is changed to that color. So let me quickly show you. You see the section right here, that's the parent, and this is the first child. So if we do this again, let's say div, and we put a paragraph, that's lorem 20. Right, let's do that, and give it some, just copy it down another one. So if we do this, you can see that first child on that div changed its color as well. So there are other properties. Now let's go quickly back to CSS. We don't have to use first child, but we can do here as well. We can use last child. So let's say the last child, do this first child, that color, let's copy it down, and we want to use the last child, must be this color. The last child must be this. Let me just change that. Let's save it. Let's go to Firefox or whatever browser you're using. And voila. This was the last child. This one here in the section above. Since there was only two, this last child was this color. How cool is that? So you can actually change what you want to do. So let's just add two more paragraphs and you will see it right here. Let's quickly go to VS Code. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy two paragraphs, just two down. So this is the first child of that div, and this is the last child of that div. So let's just do this. Make it easy for us. Last child. Then we're going to put in here first child. Let's do this. This is gonna be easier to see. And second child. This one will be the third. Because we're gonna use this now just in a second. So let's do this first child. First child. Because I want you guys to learn, you know, this is kind of a little bit longer videos, but you can always skip, come back, watch a different part later, but all the information that you need is right here. Okay. So we got our third. Now let's just change, instead of third, we just want to, because that is the last child. Right. So let's do this. Last. Let's say this. Third. Last child. So and we're going to do this one, fourth last child. Right, let's go to VS Code, to our browser. Now, as you can see, we have our first child, that color, we have our last child there, and then we have our first and our fourth and last. Quite nice. So that you can select them like with the pseudo selector class, just like this. Now there's another useful tool. Now let's say you only want to select the second one, or the third one, or only the fourth child. So let's quickly see how we can do that. Quite nice. Let's go to CSS. In this one, it's called the nth. The nth child. So let's just quickly comment this one. So the nth child looks like this with brackets there. Now, the brackets are useful for if you want to say the second, the fourth, or the third. But for us, let's change it to 2. So all the second ones, we want that, and we want to give them a background color. We can say background, but we're going to get to background properties in a second. In another video, obviously, we want to give them a background color of that, and we want to give them padding of 10 pixels. Right, so let's do that. Now let's quickly go and have a look at our browser to see how this nth child looks like. And voila, as you can see, this second child is selected. It is very useful if you want to style something in CSS. As you can see, this second child, quite easy to do. So let's do it for all the fourth, third, and we style them differently. Let's go quickly. All right, so what we have done, I've just quickly copied that down, and we changed it to 3 and a 4, and we changed the background color to a little bit darker, and this one to completely black. So let's see how this looks like in our browser. As you can see, the second child the same, the third child is the same like that, and the fourth child is like this. All right. So that is our pseudo selectors. There are more. I encourage you to go and read up more about them. But this is the ones that you will normally use in your designing process. But there is more, so that you can go and read up more about them. So in the next lesson, we will continue with the declarations, the different types of declarations that you have, the properties and their values. So we will continue from there. You do have pseudo elements, but element selectors, but you guys can follow up on that on your own. So this is kind of the basis to understand, but the pseudo element one is just more of the same, but it's instead of the class, it selects the element. But if you understand this, you can understand the elements as well. It's just a different property. All right. So in the next lesson, we will continue. Like I said, please if you like the video, give it a like. If you dislike the video, please give it a dislike. And if you have any constructive feedback or any negative feedback actually, or good feedback, please give it in the comment section. I really want to improve the videos. So yes, I really appreciate it if you guys can do that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Cheers.